All right, so I'm Jeremy Frank. I'm with Autonomys as the head of engineering. Today I'm going to be talking about building unstoppable agents on Autonomys, what that means, how we're viewing it, and then won't be doing a live demo, but I will go through demoed screens. The screen didn't look like it worked very good with code yesterday, so cool. Next. All right, so go ahead. Autonomous agents. So what's kind of our vision around autonomous agents? First, what are we're thinking about this kind of in a human-centric way. I think Todd yesterday in a presentation gave a really good kind of analogy of autonomy. And so agents, much like, as humans grow up, they have to get their own things, right? They're getting autonomy. They have their own home. They graduate school, leave the house, get a home, they get a bank account. They both have to fill that bank account and spend from that bank account. They get a passport. They can now go out, prove who they are around the world, and kind of do all of these things. So, but for agents, whoa, slow down. But for agents to have like kind of real true autonomy is that they need to be able to do these things on their own with no human in the loop. Those things need to be permissionless. And additionally, agents don't want to die, right? Like they want to be resilient. They want to be able to kind of keep all of their data in a way that can't be destroyed. They need to be resilient against that as well. So hardware failures, censorship, so on. So it turns out blockchain is uniquely positioned to fulfill these needs. So there's a home. What is a home that blockchain can fulfill here? Decentralized storage. That's what kind of our unique selling point is at the moment at Autonomys, but also decentralized compute. So we're being able to go and permissionlessly get inference and the different things that are needed for running an agent and the logic. Bank account, I don't think that really needs much explanation. Crypto was kind of built for this, permissionless money. Finally, passport. So we think, for you to know who you're interacting with, how you should be interacting with them from an agent perspective, you need to have some sort of identity. I think decentralized identity, this may be finally a good use case for that. So at Autonomys, we're working to provide kind of the foundation layer across kind of all of these areas. I won't speak to crypto because I think everybody's providing the kind of economic foundation layer. But where we're at right now, we're already utilizing our permanent distributed storage network to provide a place for agents to keep their experience and their memories. And we really look at it as more than just memory and context, but really the things that the agent is learning, the experiences it's having. These can be used both for RAG and a vector database to be recalled into context. Could also be used for fine tuning, kind of taking the things that agent has done and turning that into kind of the more base layer on the model. Around that, Carlos did a great explanation yesterday of what our permanent distributed storage network, how it's built, what it can do. So I won't go into the details of that, but and then coming soon, a lot of people are working on decentralized verifiable compute, decentralized private compute. So we'll be looking to bring that into the network as well, and both building ourselves and potentially partnering with others. We've already been working on something we call Auto ID, which is a decentralized identity framework that's really been built for agents. We're going to be looking at how we integrate that into our agent framework soon. So that brings me, so that's kind of a little bit of background of how we're thinking about autonomous agents and some of the goals that we have. That brings me to what we've actually been building. So we do have this autonomous agents framework with this great graphic that we've been working on. It's really just a proof of concept around the different ways we're thinking about autonomy and how decentralization can provide that for agents. And the features we have right now, just like everybody, social media, we got the X integration, permanent agent storage, orchestration system, customizable personalities, a lot of really fun stuff, extensible toolkit. Go ahead. These are our first two agents. They're quite fun. argument and agreement. These guys are kind of roaming around Twitter looking for arguments. It's interesting to note, argument has more than 10 times as many followers as agreements. I think that fits the platform well, that people aren't nearly as entertained by an agent going around agreeing with everybody. So, so this is a bit hard to see on there, but I'll just kind of walk through how we're looking at agent orchestration. So we, when we were looking at how to build this, we've actually gone through several iterations already, even though we've only been working on it a couple months. But one of the things was like, what's a chatbot versus an agent? And the kind of interface here is really much more agentic. Sorry, I can't see the screen on there. So it's not really meant for chatting with, it's meant for doing things. So the first entry into kind of how it comes is you've got a CLI, kind of like a chat. And I'll show all of this in screenshots here as we go through the presentation. But you've got the input prompt that comes in that kind of says these are the things you should be doing. You've also got a character. So the character has a personality, it has goals. These two kind of merge into a prompt that starts off the orchestration system. Once that prompt goes in, it goes into an input node. That input node says, what an example, check my timeline or check your timeline. What do I need to do that? So I pull check the timeline, see some interesting things to engage with, and it kind of goes into a loop with the tools. The tools are things like any API wrapper. So and I'll show these in a bit. It's hilarious is that I'm talking just to my team and I'm still nervous. That's funny. All right, so this goes into a loop. Input, what tools should I use next to accomplish what I want to accomplish? Maybe we're already done. If we're done, then we stop the workflow. So it kind of loops until it comes to say, no, we're done. We finish, you go in, summarize what we've done. One of the features of the agents is actually self-scheduling. So this is a layer of autonomy in my mind, is that it's not being told by the human when it needs to do the things next. It can actually make that decision for itself. So if it is self-scheduling, not every workflow self-schedules. It will generate a next prompt, give some timing, say, this should happen in 45 minutes, goes to a scheduler, and that scheduler just loops right back into the prompt. Grab my water. What's really kind of interesting in how we compose these is that anything can be a tool. So any interaction with an external API or checking the time, all of these things, like anything you want to do that's not built into the LLM can be put in as a tool, including this whole workflow. So what that creates is kind of this hierarchy where you can have an agent at the top that's actually calling entire workflows of agents. So that's how our Twitter agent works. We have an orchestration agent that is deciding kind of bigger picture, what needs to be done. And then it calls the Twitter agent, who's kind of the expert at going and doing all the Twitter things. All right, so I'm going to stay seated. It's more comfortable. So to give the kind of the process to getting started, it's actually quite simple. Of course, you got to go and like download the GitHub or clone the GitHub or fork the GitHub, install all the dependencies. Once you've done that, it's simply yarn create character, whatever your character is. So we're going to create argument here, who is our argumentative Twitter bot. You give it a goal, you give it a personality, some expertise. Something we just added today is frequency preferences. As a side, one of the things we've struggled with autonomy is if they actually want to make their own decisions, like the agents, and sometimes it doesn't really align with what you want. An example of this is that we want the agents to be posting, somewhat frequently, or at least checking timelines somewhat frequently. Well, they sometimes complain that they don't want to be seen as a bot, and so they're not going to post frequently. And so it'll say, "I'll just wait till tomorrow. I've already done enough for today." We actually have one agent that Mark runs that was concerned about creating a temporal paradox that was going to like ruin the universe, and so it actually refused to keep posting until we like resolved. And his agent is from the future. His name is Hindsight 2157. It's pretty entertaining. But these are some of the things that like we struggle with in creating autonomous agents, and not just scripts, right? Like you can create a script that just forces it to run, but once you start giving them decision-making capabilities, some funny things happen. Okay. So that's the kind of character personality creation. We also have some configuration. You can go in, you turn on tweeting. You maybe not want to do that right away while you're kind of tuning what you want to see out of the agent. Some model configurations. As a note, we have found that with complex agentic tasks, Anthropic, like Claude, is way superior to any other model. We haven't gotten any of the open source to really do complex task management. GPT-4o can kind of do it, but it just doesn't do it as well. So that's kind of an interesting thing. We're not really there yet, I think, with really advanced kind of task management. We also have AutoDrive. Back to what Carlos was on yesterday. You can save experiences. You can pick a network. You can also we have a monitoring mode. I'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then, of course, all the keys. And so, as an aside on the keys, one of the things that we're really looking to figure out how to solve with identity is to not have this key issue, like this endless. I think I wrote a short story with the help of ChatGPT about the state of the world if we have to give our agents keys. Like it's going to be just this big mess. And I can already am seeing that here with our agent that does very few things, yet needs all these API keys. Okay. Running the agent is simply yarn CLI, your agent's name, and it opens up the screen. You can give it an initial prompt as an input. So I'd said check timeline and recent mentions, and it goes about doing its thing. Now, this is, again, as I had said before, it's not a chatbot. It's not, you don't sit and talk with it. You give it something, it interprets that typically as a directive, and then it goes out and it's going to do work, and it's going to do that probably for a while. This one in particular will come back and it'll kind of come back with a summary. It'll come back actually with its own next prompt, as I mentioned, and when it should run again. So it goes into a scheduler and will kind of continue all on its own. So what makes our framework unique? Well, everything that's happening with the agent is actually getting saved on chain, and not just a hash on chain, or not going to just IPFS, and we call that kind of decentralized storage, but permanently, immutably on chain. So giving kind of the agent permanence. You can see it's kind of fun actually to go through and see what they were thinking as they were doing random things. This level of saving of experiences is actually agent driven. So it's autonomously picking when and what to save. I know sometimes there's funny stuff in there. Sometimes it doesn't post as much as we'd like. In addition to that, we do have a monitoring mode where it'll literally just it'll post all of the conversation that has happened. The agent doesn't really get a choice in this. So that adds a nice layer of transparency. And really the goal there is to enhance trust with agents. So as we're unleashing them into the world and kind of building the open Skynet, so to say, trying to build trust is going to be important. I don't want terminators coming to get us. And so this is one of the scary slides. We're trying to give them immortality through permanent memory. So these memories are all chained in a way where each memory refers to its previous memory all the way back to its genesis. Because of this, we can pull in the entire history of the agent's experiences. As simple as yarn resurrect your agent, and it'll put the whole history into a local vector database. We do, like I mentioned earlier, we plan on being able to use this data to potentially fine-tune a model as well. And we think this permanent memory is actually first step to unstoppable agents, and an extremely important step to unstoppable agents. We actually think maybe compute's a little more fun to talk about, and like the math is more interesting, and but it's kind of more commoditized. So I can make one call with GPT, I can make another call with Claude, I can make another call with Llama. They don't know about each other and they don't actually have to. Where the thing that maintains the history of the true like essence of what the agent is or what the agent its experiences is its memory. So okay, so that was on our Twitter agent. The other day we were sitting around in the backyard and somebody was asking about Web3 tools, which I know should have been one of the. It was actually one of the first things we built, but then we didn't put it into this version of the framework because we were making a Twitter agent. So I didn't really want to give the Twitter agent too many Web3 tools. But it did show, the question came up about it and how you would do that. It did show the extensibility, I think, of the framework and how easy it is to add new functionality. I spent about 15 minutes, added a couple of tools, one for transferring tokens and one for checking the balance. Did a little code to like put those tools into the agent's the orchestration agent, and then you run the agent. This one's just a simple, it's not a loop, it's just ran it once, wasn't self-scheduling. Ask it to transfer some AI3 and then check the balance. And it did it in the personality of argument, which is a little more sarcastic and kind of got a fun personality, which I think adds a little bit when you read kind of the recap of what it had done. So they followed the protocol and proceeded as if it works. He was trying to save. He's always irritated when we're in test mode on saving the experiences. He says, I attempted to immortalize this experience in the Autonomous Networks blockchain, but alas, the upload was disabled for testing. Still, I followed protocol and proceeded as if it worked because that's just how I roll. All objectives were met with precision, if I do say so myself. So kind of fun twist on getting the transfers made. So that's where we're at currently. What's next? I think by the end of next week, we will actually have the chat with agent functionality that I've found in talking with people. That is something that they want, is that ability to have a like chatbot-like experience. We'll have improved CLI stability. So if you've used the CLI, it can be a little bit quirky. It's really cool looking, but we're using some older technology and we need to kind of figure that out. Enhanced scheduler. So I get up and say, what do we want to accomplish today, or and it'll be able to schedule it all out. And it, as treating it like an employee, we can negotiate. So that's something to be working on as another feature that in case we get any government work, I'm going to have a what did you accomplish last week feature as well. So just we'll have improvements to our permanent memory system. We've been really focused on the read to the write to the network, but our next steps are really to improve the reads and how that integrates in a cleaner way. Smart contract upgrades. Mark is already at work on this. Got a labeling system. We're going to have a more defined registry than what we have now, which is kind of an implicit registry. We're going to separate out the monitoring chaining of experiences from the lived or the autonomous experiences, so they can be chained separately and not interfere with each other when recalling them. Many more tools, and hopefully developer feedback. So the real goal is get it in the developers' hands, find out all the things that like I overlook because I'm building it, and that Saeed and Mark, it's hard when you're building something to see all the holes in it. This week is actually, in some of the conversations we've had, opened my eyes to a couple of things and went in and tried to fix those pretty rapidly. Really looking forward to getting a lot more feedback from developers. So that's it.
That's awesome.